From the belly of the Beast Coast, Glastonbury, Connecticut, this is the Cultra Trail Running Podcast. We talk about all the fun shit that happens on the trails that most normal people don't care about. The language we use is fucking explicit and raw like the trails we run on, so don't listen with your kids! Cultra is brought to you by our Patreons and supporters, and we are 112% listener supported, and support is good.
All right. Welcome to the Cultra Trail Running Podcast. I'm your host, Art Byram, and today I am running solo. This episode covers two things. Primarily, it is to provide details on the 2026 CUT112 event, of which I have some basic information to pass along to anyone who decides that it's a good idea to run a 112-mile point-to-point route from the borderline of Connecticut and Massachusetts to the Long Island Sound and Guilford without sleeping. But before I do that, regular listeners of the podcast may be wondering, what the fuck is going on? And where the hell have you been? So this is also a status update on Cultra Trail Running Podcast. Unfortunately, we've not been able to get an episode out on the regular weekish schedule that we had for the most part, that we've followed basically since we started the show in November 2018. But rest assured, we've been busy doing other fun shit to provide good material for future episodes. We decided that it was time for Cultra to expand and open up a satellite office outside of the belly of the Beast Coast, Glastonbury, Connecticut. So then we had some decisions to make. After an exhaustive search, we narrowed it down to two locations. One idea was to have it in the south, and the other idea was to have possibly a auxiliary office in the north. As part of this quest, I actually traveled to Ecuador for 3 weeks and visited the Andes, the Amazon rainforest, and the Galapagos Islands with my wife. Although these were all great locations with tough-to-ignore amenities such as howler monkeys, anaconda snakes, llamas, giant tortoises, and all sorts of other things, many canoes you could paddle, all sorts of great Cultra stuff. We ultimately made a decision to open up a northern headquarters in lieu of setting up the shop near the equator. It was decided to look for the perfect place in the White Mountains of New Hampshire, right? I mean, we all love the White Mountains. Although it's honestly hard to go wrong there, we are quite pleased to announce that we have closed on a property that checks a lot of boxes. Although the White Mountains are packed with many trail systems and epic routes centered, or is it routes? I don't know what they say in New Hampshire. Is it routes or routes? Let me know. Centered around the 48 4,000 footers, one of the most iconic routes is the Pemi Loop. A bunch of us did or many people have done one day Pemis there. When I guess I'm trying to think, it was probably like 2019, I think. I'm going to just throw that out there. I think it was 2019. I went up and did a one-day Pemi there with Michael Opresti and Hoops and a couple other people. So, but really it's one of the best routes out there. You can't really beat the Pemi Loop, right? It's most of you guys know that it's a 30-mile course that hits 8 to 10 4,000 footers. There's lots of options for others. I think, you can probably get 12 or 14, something like that, if you wanted 4,000 footers with a little bit of creativity. It's probably about 10,000 feet of vert, which is very challenging and beautiful, Franconia Ridge, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So, finding a northern headquarters that was close to the Pemi or the Presidential Traverse would be a huge win. I mean, what else could we ask for? I know some of you guys are thinking that we would insist on a symbolic address of some sort because we always try to follow that as much as possible. And you're right, we did. So we dug deep and really stretched the Cultra Patreon budget and found a location in Lincoln, in the village of Loon, right off the Kank. As some of you guys know, the Kank is also known as its numerical route number is Route 112, right? So as soon as I saw that, you guys can just imagine how I reacted to that, finding a place off of Route 112. This neighborhood, it's located under Whaleback Mountain, which is actually part of the original old Osseo Trail, or I guess at that point it wasn't the old Osseo Trail. I think it was just the Osseo Trail because it was still the new Osseo Trail. But then they built in the development next to where the headquarters is in Clearbrook condominiums. I think that was I should know what date that was. I think that was in the 80s. And then once they did that, they got rid of the old Osseo Trail and abandoned the trail and made what is now the new Osseo Trail, or it's just not the new Osseo Trail. It's just the fucking Osseo Trail, Art. Way to complicate the shit out of it. But the good news is that the old Osseo Trail still does exist there, even though it's abandoned and it's not an official trail. It's more what they call in the whites like a bushwhack. Okay, just kind of like what you would find like Brutus's bushwhack going up to Owl's Head, or some of the other bushwhacks out there. It's weird though, because prior to the whites, I'd always thought like a bushwhack is just like when there's no fucking trail and you're just out there. But I guess like they don't acknowledge that there is a trail there, but there's definitely a trail there and it's blazed too. So let's see. But anyway, it's right under Whaleback Mountain. And if you take the old Osseo Trail, which has been around since like the early 1900s, I think it's like 1908 was when that trail was originally set up. If you get on that trail, you can get into the Pemi Loop directly, okay? Kind of runs almost, it kind of angles up towards Flume, basically, Flume Mountain. So if you know where the Flume Slide Trail is, that just approaches Flume from a different direction, or approaches the trail, the Osseo Trail, from a different direction. But so we're really excited about this and look forward to a renewed focus on the White Mountains of New Hampshire. As you guys know, we had Andrew Drummond, we had Christina Fulsick, we had, a couple other people. Over the years, we've certainly had different people from the White Mountains and talked about our different experiences there. Mark Kelly and some others who have, been really involved with the White Mountains. So we expect to continue that focus and increase that focus, actually, without, of course, we're not forgetting about the belly of the Beast Coast, Glastonbury, Connecticut. We'd probably sell our Glastonbury house at some point, or the headquarters here. But I think if we did that, nobody would buy it just because of the fucking technical driveway. I think that kind of scares most people away. So let's see. And so we still want to cover all the Northeast, but now we think with this northern office, that's going to give us just that extra little bit that we know, and it should work. There are also so many cool people in the White Mountains. I have to say this, is that like every place I go, whether it's like the Mountain Wanderer, I went in there and talked to this guy named Forrest. He owns it's like a hiking bookstore and gift shop. And you guys have probably seen it in Lincoln. Guy Steve Smith, who's basically a legend, or not basically, he is every aspect of a legend, a hiking legend in the White Mountains. He's the guy that, if there's any argument on Facebook or somewhere else about a trail, somebody will say something like, well, Steve Smith says blah, 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 blah. And it's like, oh, okay, you fucking win, because he is the guy, and that was his shop, and Forrest has taken it over. So I got to go and hang out with him, and you know what? It's the kind of place like you can walk over to Lincoln Woods. That's like, I don't know, that's probably a mile and a half from my house, from the northern headquarters. And, just hanging out there, it's just like, it's a parking lot full of cool fucking people. So, we're meeting people on the trail all the time, and it's just, it is a lot of fun. So, I'm looking forward to spending more time up there and, getting some cool shit to talk about there and letting you guys know about it. So So, and plus having it off of Route 112 is just an amazing opportunity for us all. So speaking of 112, like if this is the first episode you're listening to, you're probably wondering, what the fuck is with this guy and the number 112? Well, okay, I'm not going to get into the whole story. It's like kind of like almost like telling a Dylan story, right? Like everybody's heard the Dylan story at this point. But speaking of 112, we can talk about the CUT112. So it's not even a race, or is it a race? I don't know. Who knows? But at this point, the people involved with the event are able to successfully participate without a lot of hand-holding. And that's kind of what you would expect from folks that can handle running for over 24 hours. Lots of cases, it's 45 hours on a rugged terrain without sleeping, because that's one of the things about the CUT112. There's no sleep till Guilford. So you can kind of take your time, so people will say, oh, it's not that hard. You got plenty of time. Yeah, but you can't sleep. And that means that you're definitely going to fucking hurt, especially if the weather isn't perfect, and it rarely is. But we're really looking for people who have their shit together to do this. Because there are people that are going to be, although you don't need a lot of hand-holding by a race organization, all of us get by with a little help from our friends. So you're definitely going to need a good crew. And so something that's changing is that rather than collect and route the money through Ultra Sign Up like we've done in the past, this year we're going to try having folks send their $112 donation directly to Connecticut Forest and Parks Association. So those are all the people who are running it are going to just send a donation to Connecticut Forest and Parks Association, and then send it to, not to the RD, but because I think even having a person called the RD is a little bit of a misnomer. So it's kind of like the ARD, like ARD. We'll call this person ARD. And it's the alleged race director. So it's not really the race director. So, but you would just send them proof of your donation to Connecticut Forest and Parks Association. As you may or may not know, these are the folks that maintain all the Blue Blaze trails in the state of Connecticut. And it is correct. They actually maintain over about 850 miles of trails in the third smallest state in the U.S. For the race, we will have some swag and other support for folks. And Cultra is not doing this alone. It's always been a community event. So we'll have some financial assistance from other like-minded individuals. The idea is to be able to tell people, listen, donate all of the entry fee directly to Connecticut Forest and Parks, and then we'll handle the operations of the event outside of that with people who know that, listen, hey, you know what, I'm donating $112 to buy hoodies and to, maybe provide some food or some other things, just to kind of support people on the course. So let's see. Yeah. So we're going to have some swag and other things like that. So these are personal sponsors that are helping with this. A couple people have already stepped up. So I'd already like to thank Sarah Porras, Michael Lopresti, Bill Gibbs, Bill Odendahl, and I think there might be somebody else that I'm missing at this point. I will definitely be talking about the people that are supporting the CUT112 in future episodes and on the Facebook page as well. So thanks to those early adapters to sponsoring, and many of them have either run it in the past or have supported multiple years. So if you're interested in being a part of the cutting board and donating $112 as a sponsor, so that's not running the race or the event, you can send an email to cultratrailrunning@gmail.com, and I can give you some instructions on mailing a check, Venmo, or PayPal, and kind of answer any questions that you might have about it. So there may be other people who don't know what the CUT112 is, so I thought I might tell you guys what it's all about. So it's a real happening in Connecticut. It involves communities from all over the state. All the running groups, all the trail running groups are certainly involved with it. There's usually probably 3 times as many support people, because each runner will probably, have, 3 or 4 people at least. And then there's lots of others that kind of come out and hang out, pace and crew this. And we try to do this without making it too big of a deal, keeping it as low key as possible so that we don't raise too much of attention to ourselves. So, but let's talk about the race more. It's the Connecticut Ultra Traverse. So that's what CUT stands for. The Connecticut Ultra Traverse is a point-to-point trail running event with 2 options. We're going to have 112 miles or 50 miles. The CUT112 is a 112-mile trail running event following the blue blazes of the New England Trail, also known as the NET. And this follows the Metacomet, Mattabeesit, and Monunketuk trails from the Massachusetts-Connecticut border, and that's by Rising Corners, to the Long Island Sound in Guilford, Connecticut. This is going to start on Friday at 8 o'clock, allegedly, Friday, June 5th. So starting on a Friday, if you take 30 or 40 hours, this way it's, you don't want to have your volunteers out until 5 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday when they have to be at work on Monday. So most of the time it's easier to support people on a Friday, or, everybody's at least together so you can kind of work with other crews if you need to, if you don't have as much support as you need on a Friday. So we start on a Friday, June 5th. It coincides with National Trail Days. Connecticut Forest and Park will be having trail day events all over the state. So you might see some other people there. Then there's also the CUT 50. That is, as you might have guessed, is a 50-mile trail running event, and it follows the same blue blazes of the New England Trail from Mutt's End at Berlin Turnpike. It's basically a liquor store on the Berlin Turnpike. It's fucking creepy as hell, but it is awesome because we hang out in that parking lot like we own it, and nobody says shit to us, so it's pretty cool. And that starts at the ass crack of dawn on Saturday, June 6th. I have to find out the exact time, but typically it's around 5:18 on June 6th. And this is just going to follow the same route that the CUT112 does, except that you skip the Metacomet Trail. You skip the first 60 miles, okay? Or 60 or 62 miles, something like that. So you would just be following Mattabeesit and Monunketuk trails, which is the last part or the rear end of the CUT112 course. Some of our more cheeky runners refer to this as the butt. See what I did there? It's the back end of the cut, as it is the same course but just skips the beginning and starts at the ass crack of dawn on Saturday. So the challenge of these races is to run down through the entire state of Connecticut. So you're going to have an awesome, if you finish this fucking thing, you're going to have an awesome Strava posting, because it's so cool to see that red line just slice right in the middle of the state like a lightning bolt. So the challenge is to run through the entire state without stopping to sleep. And although we're there to coordinate aid, you and your crews on the course, and ultimately all runners, are expected to provide or arrange for their own safety and support, and to respect the landowners along the trail, of course. The CUT112, it's not so much a race and does not have permits, right? So I'm not like putting on a race. I'm not putting on an event even, really. It's just like, if you guys decide to do this, some people allegedly are doing this. So, and although it's never happened, runners may be required to leave the course if asked by landowners or law enforcement. The alleged race director will be asking each runner about their support plan in advance of the race date. If you're too flaky or don't communicate or are annoying as fuck, and the ARD reserves the right to fill your spot with someone else who's not going to fuck everything up. We love you guys and want you to do well, but need to live our own lives as well. These Blue Blaze trails are all maintained by Connecticut Forest and Parks, and this run is being done to help raise funds and help support the trails we love in this great organization. 112% of the $112 or $100 entry fee, $100 entry fee for the 50 mile, will be donated to Connecticut Forest and Parks Association. We're not going to have any refunds for any reason because we're not going to have your money to do that. You guys are going to be donating money, and that's kind of the more important part of this is to, is to do that to help. These trails are just amazing. The job that they do. Like if you get lost on them, you're always going to get lost in a trail. Like if you don't see a blaze, but most of the time after you do see the blaze, you're going to be like, fuck, I should have seen that, so, it's kind of on you guys to do that. Let's see. We're going to ask you about your experience. So think hard before entering, if the $112 is like going to really fuck you up, just, think about it, talk to me, you can always give a call and I can kind of talk you through it, answer any questions you have. And who knows what this race will become in the future, or this happening will become in the future. But anyway, the financial sponsors and landowners and Cultra Trail Running LLC and any alleged race directors are not responsible for anything, right? You guys are responsible for your own safety, and runners but you can choose to run together socially or race it. We've had people really lay it down on this course where they're battling it out on the course, and that's great. There are no formal prizes, but we always seem to have we always have awesome entry swag and then finisher buckles for the 112 mile fight, folks. So, and Ragged Cuts has always helped. I'm being very assumptive now. I haven't asked Stefan about this yet, but he is, I have a couple spares, but I'm sure that he will, generally he's always been there for us. So I wouldn't expect that to stop. Hopefully. At any rate, that was awkward, Art. So if you're running, if buckles are really your thing and like, fuck, I got to have a buckle, but why do I want to do something that would be like a traditional fat ass style race? You still get a buckle with this, right? And, in the past we've had hoodies. I don't know what we'll have this year, but that's been the thing. So, generally it's a pretty good thing, and it's $112. And I think that's, it's like in this new economy, I think that's probably like a bargain. So $1 a mile, right? Imagine a 5K that was $3.10. We'll also give you some of the support we will give you though is we'll give you spreadsheets and talk to you about the course if you want. But you guys are going to need to get a dedicated crew to act as like a rolling aid station for you and your gear. So there's lots of road crossings. But you got to find your people to tell you good jokes and people to make sure you don't eat too much junk food. You might need somebody to post bail if you get arrested for loitering or disturbing the peace. But you can, if you are coming from out of town and you want to do this, but you're from out of town and you're like, fuck, Art, I'm from we've had people come from Washington. We've had, West Coast. We've had people come from all over the country, Oregon. We've actually had Grand Slammers come here, run 60 miles of it, and then cry and say, fuck, I can't do this anymore. And so it's not an easy race or an easy run, but you know what? I think if you don't give up, you will finish, or you have a much better chance of finishing. So let's see. As I mentioned, times are between 30 and 45 hours. And this is a fundraiser. So we are donating, all the money is going right to them. let's see, as far as the course, right? The route strings together some of the best trail running in Connecticut. You're going to go over Suffield Mountain, Peak Mountain, Hatchet Hill, Wilcox Park, Penwood. So if you think about the Trap Rock 50, you're going to get to run a good section of that. Hubline Tower, MDC Reservoirs, Rattlesnake Mountain, Pinnacle Rock, Crescent Lake with Bill Gibbs, Ragged Mountain, with Stacy. And if you guys know the race Run Ragged, it goes right through there. Castle Craig, which is fucking epic. Lamentation Mountain, although I have to check about that. Some of this, every year the course gets rerouted slightly due to trail closures and forest fires and, adding, a lot of times they add new sections. So every year the course changes a little bit. Chauncey Peak, that's another beautiful one. Mount Higbee. Powder Ridge, that's up by Bessick Mountain, a big fucking mountain, let me tell you. Powder Ridge, Tri-Mountain. I think Celeste used to call that Tri-Mountain's a fucking whore or something like that. She had a great statement for that. Bluffhead, so all you Bimblers Bluff 50K fans, it goes on that course too. So you basically get the value of all these other races all wrapped up into one. Also go through the Cockaponset Trail Forest, our state forest, East River Preserve, Guilford Point waterfront. And it's not marked. Like we're not going to go through 112 miles and throw up ribbons through all this. But there's already blue blazes there. And if you're following the blue blazes, there's only one section where blue blazes go both ways. There's a fork in the trail. And if you go left, you go to Middletown, which is bad. And that's at I think it's at mile, probably mile 96 or something, 93. And if you go left, you're fucked because you're going to just add a ton of miles and you're not going to get to the finish. You're going to have to turn around and come back. And if you go right, everything's going to be fine. So, or you're still fucked because you're going to be so tired at that point. Let's see. So there are no formal markings on the course except for the blue blazes, right? But the blazes it's pretty well marked, I think. You should be able to do it. If you're local, you definitely want to get out and try to at least run the course through once, piece it out. There's runners who many people on paper, you would say, I don't know if they're really up to doing this, but they kind of gain some advantages. They gain a home field advantage just by being very familiar with the course. So they weren't surprised by anything, let's see. But there's also a couple road sections. So the course is open to traffic. So you need to be cautious crossing the streets and things like that. Let's see. Okay. So again, it's not an easy course. Over the last 8 years, we've had many of the experienced field DNF. Some years it's more than 50% DNF. These Trap Rock Ridges, people are saying, Art, you just talked about the fucking White Mountains. This is Connecticut. It's it's between, it's not it's not in Roxylvania and it's not in the White Mountains. What are you talking about? But it's not easy. Okay. There's these Trap Rock Ridges and you're going to go up 300, down 100, up 100, down 100, all day long. Okay. So you got to be able to obviously be experienced traveling at night and, you need to be able to follow a trail, right? Not just ribbons and having banners and all this other shit. It's somewhere around 16 to 17,000 of vertical. And it's pure Beast Coast. It's not a groomed trail, although there's a couple sections that are certainly runnable. Many sections that are runnable. There's some that are just tough, that are just gonna beat you up some. When you get on roads, obviously you're going to need some reflective gear and stuff like that. Most people are taking more than 30 hours, typically. We get a couple that come in usually under 30 hours, really the best, the absolute fastest runners are going on under 30. but for the most part, most people are definitely not. So as you sign up, I'm going to just ask you a little bit about your past trail ultra experience, because we want you to finish in 45 hours or less. Because let's face it, if you're up for more than 45 hours, it's not necessarily that's probably not a good, it's not a good look. Like the first night, you know what? Some people hallucinate during the first night, but I don't think that I did it in 2017 and 2018. I don't think that the real hallucinations start until the second night. That's when the shit goes sideways. So, let's see. There's also, towards the end, right at the end of the course, you have 2 elevators that you get to take. It goes through a train station. So you guys are going to get to take, 2 elevators, which is just awesome. When you see those, you basically know you can definitely walk it in from there. So, and let's see. So the idea of no sleep, the reason we do that is not to be ball busters, but we just don't want it to be a stage race. We know that people could do this over 3 days and just like, hey, sleep, get a full, get a couple hours sleep every night. That's not what we want. We want you to push it through once, instead of like putting in we could put in a 35-hour cutoff or something like that. And I think some of the people that are doing it in 40, if I put a 35 there, they probably could have picked it up. But this allows you to take it at your own pace and, and finish if you just don't give up. It's something that is done. So definitely we'll be talking about the CUT112 in future episodes. And there's one other thing that that's been going on that I wanted to let you guys know. And it's kind of like one of these good news, bad news things. So, I'm going to kind of tell you a little story here. So, and some of you may have already heard this, but on March 8th in 2004, I woke up and expected to go for a typical run. I just had a good fall season, my first marathon at New York City. And even though that race was kind of a flop for me, I was really happy to finish it. It was my first marathon ever. And I went on to finish Philadelphia a couple weeks after that and had the race that I wanted. When I crossed that finish line, I threw my arms straight up in the air like a runner does, some go through an airplane, but like I put my hands up over my head to finish that race. And it was awesome. It was such a great feeling going through that. The winter passed and I did all the usual stuff like Santa's Run and then went over to the Colchester Half Marathon. And I ran there for the first time, right? And as you guys know, we like to do the Colchester Half Marathons there, or the double half marathons, sorry. There. I just did a single that year with I think I did probably a 5-mile warm up or something like that. But I got to enjoy that course. But then what happened right after that race, I think 3 or 4 days after that race, I went for a run in Glastonbury on a really cold morning. And as I was coming down a hill on Route 17, about 6 or 7 miles in, coming down this hill, my foot stepped on a hubcap retaining ring. So basically that's that wire that goes on the back of a hubcap and keeps it attached to your wheel. What happens is people hit potholes, the hubcap pops off, and then cars run over the hubcap, the plastic ones, and what you're left with is this circle of wire that sits in the road. So if you ever see those, please just pick them up and get them the hell off the road. But what happened was that I tripped on that. My left foot went into it, and then my right foot followed my left foot, and all of a sudden I had both of my feet in this little circle, and that was like running with my shoes tied together. So I hit the deck. I hit really hard. I basically was falling right for my face, and I got my arm up in time to protect my face from being a nunchuck onto the pavement. But instantly my right shoulder just got dislocated, and the muscle popped it back in. It shattered the joint. And then, from there, I just had to have surgery. Probably I had to wait probably almost a week for the surgery, but it was just, it was excruciatingly painful. I can't even tell you how bad it was. I had broken lots of bones in the past, but this was by far the worst ever. Now that was back in early 2004. But you know what? I was kind of grateful as the years went by. I was still able to run and everything like that. And then, as time went on, I started to get arthritis in the shoulder, right? And I had very, very limited range of motion, couldn't throw a ball, couldn't do lots of things, but, had, basically bone on bone there. And, I finally reached the point where I'm done with this. I can't even, get a good night's sleep anymore. So I went into Manhattan to the special hospital for special surgery and had a complete reverse shoulder replacement. So, which was something that I was petrified to do. Right. So, but I guess a lot of you guys who've run with me in the past, that as soon as I get a lot of miles in, I'm kind of verbal. We always say, lots of drama going on. A lot of that's been allegedly from my shoulder pain. Right. So, but I went in for this surgery and it went really well. This surgeon's a great guy. He's Harvard, Columbia guy, and does work for the Giants, and is just seems to be the guy to have it, to do this stuff, and just did a wonderful job. But I'm going to be out of running for probably 3 months, 4 months, something like that, for trails, probably 4 months. So, I'm going to be going through that recovery and not running, but I'll still be around. Hopefully get a lot more episodes out than I have in the last couple weeks, at least. I mean, that's not hard to do. And work my way back. So it's kind of like another chance to start over. So, let's see. I think that's probably about it. I've been just yapping here by myself tonight, or talking to you guys, which is pretty cool anyway. So I wanted to thank you guys for your patience over the last month or two, especially as we're not able to release the episodes that we had hoped. That trip to Ecuador kind of snuck up on me, and then I got back, and then all of a sudden we're working to try to secure things up in New Hampshire, and then I got a fucking I got the shoulder surgery breathing down my neck immediately after all this stuff. So it was a lot to do, but hopefully that has stopped, but life comes up. So we'll see how things go, but so far things are looking really good. But I want to thank you guys for your patience. And, I think things are going to, we're going to have a lot of good guests coming up, and I want to wish you guys all a great holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. And I look forward to being able to run in about 3 or 4 months. But hopefully I'll be able to see you guys as we go out and support events in the Northeast. So thank you for listening, and a special thanks to all of our Patreons who, you guys have continued to support us, and I really appreciate that. And of course, if you've made it this far, seek professional help, and we will see you all in a mile and a half.
There's a cabin up yonder past the old pine grove, where the trails twist like stories only the mountains know. Windows catch the sunrise, paint the floor in gold, and the air smells like freedom, wild and cold. Every beam, every nail holds a promise tight. A home for dreams beneath the granite height. New digs in the white, where the ridges roll. Echoes of laughter filling up our soul. Running trails, chasing tails under stars so bright. We're building a home in the heart of the whites. Got a desk by the window where the world feels wide, and a trailhead waiting, just a 10-minute ride. Coffee on the counter, a map spread on the floor. This is where the stories live forevermore. Every mile, every climb, every scraped up knee brings us closer to the sky, to the wild, to the free. New digs in the whites, where the ridges roll. Echoes of laughter filling up our soul. Running trails, chasing tails under stars so bright. We're building a home in the heart of the whites. Every mile, every climb, every scraped up knee brings us closer to the sky,